What if everything you've been told about success is not just wrong, but actively keeping you trapped in a cycle of unfulfillment? What if the very methods society champions, the hustle culture, the external validation, the relentless pursuit of more, are precisely what's preventing you from accessing your true potential? I'm speaking to you today not as another self-help guru, but channeling the profound insights of Carl Gustav Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who revolutionized our understanding of the human psyche. Jung spent decades studying why some people flourish while others remain perpetually stuck, despite having all the external tools for success. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 3 fundamental lies that keep 90% of people trapped in mediocrity, and more importantly, you'll learn Jung's proven framework for accessing what he called your authentic success, the kind that creates lasting fulfillment rather than endless striving. The Great Deception. Jung observed something profound in his patients. Those who appeared most successful on paper were often the most psychologically tormented. CEOs suffering from anxiety, wealthy individuals battling depression, accomplished professionals feeling utterly empty despite their achievements. This led him to a startling conclusion. Modern society has created what he termed the Great Deception. 3 fundamental lies about success that keep us chasing shadows while our authentic selves remain buried. Lie 1. Success is external. The first lie is that success is measured by external markers, money, status, recognition, possessions. But Jung discovered that those who built their entire identity around external achievements lived in constant fear of losing what they had gained. They became prisoners of their own success. Specific example. Consider the executive who works 80-hour weeks to afford a lifestyle that impresses others, but has no idea who they actually are beneath their job title. Jung called this living from the persona, the mask we wear to meet social expectations. The problem? The persona is not you, it's a performance, and eventually, all performances exhaust the performer. Lie 2. You must suppress your negative traits. Society teaches us that success requires eliminating our flaws, weaknesses, and dark impulses. Jung called this rejected part of ourselves the shadow. But here's what most people don't understand. Trying to eliminate your shadow doesn't make you successful, it makes you incomplete and therefore ineffective. Compelling example. Think of Steve Jobs. His so-called negative traits, his perfectionism, his demanding nature, his refusal to accept mediocrity, were integral to his revolutionary success. He didn't succeed despite these qualities. He succeeded because he learned to integrate them consciously rather than suppress them. Lie 3. There's one universal path to success. The third lie is perhaps the most damaging, that there's a universal formula for success that works for everyone. Follow these 10 steps, adopt these habits, think like these successful people. But Jung's research revealed something crucial. Authentic success is utterly individual. What works for others might be poison for your particular psychological type. Personal example. An introverted creative trying to succeed by mimicking the strategies of an extroverted salesperson isn't following the success path. They're following a path to burnout and self-alienation. Jung discovered that lasting success comes not from copying others, but from understanding and expressing your unique psychological blueprint. Jung's revolutionary framework, the 4 pillars of authentic success. After studying thousands of cases, Jung identified 4 essential processes that lead to what he called individuation, the development of your authentic self and, consequently, authentic success. This isn't theory, these are practical, actionable principles that transform lives. Pillar 1. Shadow integration, embracing your complete self. Jung's first pillar is perhaps the most counterintuitive. You must befriend your shadow, those aspects of yourself you've been taught to hide or eliminate. The process. Start with radical self-honesty. For the next week, notice when you judge others harshly. Write down what specifically bothers you about them. Jung discovered that what we cannot tolerate in others often reveals what we've rejected in ourselves. Specific exercise. Here's a powerful exercise Jung used with patients. Complete this sentence 10 times. I am... But finish it with qualities you'd normally never admit to having. I am jealous. I am manipulative. I am lazy. Don't try to fix these. Simply acknowledge them. The breakthrough comes when you realize these negative traits often contain your greatest strengths in distorted form. Jealousy might contain your drive for excellence. Manipulation might contain your natural leadership abilities. Laziness might contain your wisdom to work efficiently rather than just hard. Real-world application. One of Jung's patients was a successful businessman who secretly wrote poetry but considered it weak and unmanly. His business success was built on suppressing this creative side, but it was also what made him increasingly rigid and ultimately less innovative. When he finally integrated his poetic nature into his business approach, he became not just more successful, but genuinely fulfilled. Pillar 2, Anima Animus Development, balancing your inner opposites. Jung discovered that we all contain both masculine and feminine psychological principles, regardless of our biological gender. The masculine principle, animus, is associated with logic, assertiveness, and goal orientation. The feminine principle, anima, is associated with intuition, receptivity, and emotional intelligence. Most people overdevelop one side and neglect the other, creating an internal imbalance that limits their success potential. For the overmasculine type, specific guidance. If you're someone who relies heavily on logic, planning, and force to achieve goals, you're likely neglecting your anima. This shows up as burnout, relationship problems, and a sense that success feels hollow. Jung's solution: deliberately cultivate receptivity. Spend time in nature without objectives. Practice listening to others without planning your response. Pay attention to your dreams and intuitive hunches. One CEO Jung worked with started making major business decisions only after sleeping on it and consulting his intuition. His success rate improved dramatically. For the over-feminine type, if you tend to be highly intuitive, emotionally sensitive, and prefer going with the flow, you might be neglecting your animus. This often shows up as difficulty setting boundaries, trouble with practical execution, or feeling like others take advantage of your good nature. Jung's approach: consciously develop your inner authority. Practice saying no without elaborate explanations. Set specific, measurable goals and create systems to achieve them. Learn to trust your logical mind as much as your heart. Breakthrough example. Jung worked with an artist who was incredibly talented but couldn't monetize her work because she found business distasteful. By developing her animus, learning to see business as another form of creative problem solving, she built a successful studio while maintaining her artistic integrity. Pillar 3. Active imagination, accessing your unconscious wisdom. Jung believed that your unconscious mind contains not just repressed memories, but also unrealized potentials, what he called the prospective function of the psyche. Your unconscious is constantly working on solutions to your problems, but most people never learn to access this resource. The active imagination technique, step-by-step process. Set aside 20 minutes daily for what Jung called active imagination. Sit quietly and pose a specific question about a challenge you're facing. Instead of thinking logically about solutions, allow images, memories, or seemingly random thoughts to arise. Don't analyze them immediately. Instead, engage with them as if they were real people or situations. If an image of a bridge appears, mentally walk across it and see what's on the other side. If you imagine meeting a wise old man, have a conversation with him. Write down or draw what emerges, no matter how strange it seems. Jung found that the unconscious often communicates in symbols and metaphors that reveal solutions the conscious mind couldn't reach. Success story. One of Jung's patients, a struggling entrepreneur, repeatedly saw images of underground rivers during these sessions. Through active imagination, he realized this represented hidden market opportunities in his industry. Following these unconscious insights, he pivoted his business strategy and achieved breakthrough success within a year. Pillar 4. The transcendent function, integrating opposites. Jung's most advanced concept is the transcendent function, the ability to hold tension between opposing forces until a new, creative solution emerges. This is where breakthrough success comes from. How to develop the transcendent function. Practical application. When facing a difficult decision, resist the urge to choose sides immediately. Instead, fully explore both options. If you're torn between security and risk, spend time genuinely considering the wisdom in each position. Write a dialogue between these opposing parts of yourself. Let the security-seeking part explain its concerns in detail. Then let the risk-taking part respond. Continue this dialogue until a third option emerges, one that honors both concerns. Business example. A client of Jung's was torn between expanding his business aggressively or maintaining its current intimate scale. Instead of choosing one path, he used the transcendent function to discover a third way. Selective expansion that maintained the company's personal touch while reaching new markets. This innovative approach became his competitive advantage. The 4 types, finding your success blueprint. Jung's most practical contribution to success was identifying 4 fundamental psychological types. Understanding your type isn't about limiting yourself, it's about working with your natural strengths instead of against them. The thinking type, success through systems and strategy. If you're primarily a thinking type, you naturally excel at logical analysis, systematic planning, and objective decision-making. Your success path. Build success through creating and optimizing systems. You thrive when you can break down complex goals into logical steps and measure progress objectively. Your danger zone is neglecting the human element, relationships, team morale, and emotional intelligence. Specific strategy. Develop what Jung called inferior function consciousness. For thinking types, this means deliberately developing your feeling function. Before making decisions, ask, how will this affect the people involved? Schedule regular check-ins with team members focused purely on their well-being, not just performance metrics. The feeling type, success through people and values. Feeling types excel at understanding human dynamics, building relationships, and creating harmony. Your success path. Your natural advantage is people skills and ethical leadership. You succeed when you can align your work with your values and help others do the same. Your challenge is often with impersonal systems and hard data. Actionable advice. Develop your thinking function by regularly asking, what does the data tell us? Create systems to track objective metrics alongside your intuitive assessments. Partner with strong analytical thinkers who can complement your people skills. The sensation type, success through practical action. Sensation types are grounded in reality, excellent at implementation, and naturally practical. Your success path. You excel at turning ideas into reality and managing practical details others overlook. Your success comes through consistent, high-quality execution and building tangible value. Growth strategy. Develop your intuitive function by regularly asking, what are the long-term implications? Set aside time for brainstorming without immediately judging ideas as practical or impractical. Your breakthrough success often comes when you learn to trust and act on hunches. The intuitive type, success through vision and innovation. Intuitive types naturally see possibilities, connections, and future potential. Your success path. Your advantage is innovation and seeing opportunities others miss. You succeed when you can focus on the big picture and inspire others with your vision. Implementation focus. Your challenge is follow-through and attention to detail. Develop your sensation function by creating detailed implementation plans for your ideas. Partner with detail-oriented people, but don't delegate everything, but stay involved enough to maintain your vision while ensuring practical execution. The shadow of success. Why most people sabotage themselves. Jung discovered that success often triggers what he called the success complex, unconscious patterns that sabotage achievement just as we're about to reach our goals. The imposter shadow. Many people sabotage success because deep down, they don't believe they deserve it. This isn't conscious. It's a shadow pattern often developed in childhood. Recognition and solution. Notice if you downplay achievements, attribute success to luck, or feel anxious when receiving recognition. Jung's approach, dialogue with this imposter part. Ask it, what are you trying to protect me from? Often, it's protecting you from the vulnerability that comes with visibility. The antidote is what Jung called earned confidence, building a track record of small successes that prove to your unconscious that you can handle larger ones. The sacrifice shadow. Some people unconsciously believe that success requires sacrificing other important parts of life: relationships, health, or personal values. Real example: Jung worked with a woman who consistently sabotaged career opportunities because she believed professional success would make her a bad mother. The solution wasn't choosing between career and family, but recognizing this was a false dichotomy created by her shadow. The superiority shadow. Paradoxically, some people fear success because they're afraid it will make them arrogant or separate them from others. Therapeutic insight. Jung found that this shadow often contains genuine wisdom about staying connected to your humanity. The solution isn't avoiding success, but consciously choosing to use success as a platform for service rather than ego inflation. Practical integration, your 30-day transformation plan. Jung believed that insight without action is worthless. Here's how to implement his principles starting today. Week 1, shadow mapping. Daily practice, 10 minutes. Morning. Write 3 things that annoy you about others. Evening, ask yourself, how might I have this quality? Don't try to change anything, just increase awareness. Weekly challenge. Do one thing you've been avoiding because it seems not like you. If you're always diplomatic, practice being direct. If you're always serious, allow yourself to be playful. Week 2, animus balancing. For over-masculine types. Spend 15 minutes daily without objectives. Walk, meditate, or simply sit. Before making decisions, ask, what does my gut tell me? Practice listening to others without planning your response. For over-feminine types, set one specific, measurable goal each day and achieve it. Practice stating your needs directly without over-explaining. Spend time analyzing data or logical problems. Week 3, active imagination mastery. Daily practice, 20 minutes. Pose one question about a current challenge. Allow images and thoughts to arise without judgment. Engage with what emerges as if it were real. Record insights in a journal. Integration exercise. At week's end, review your active imagination sessions. What patterns emerge? What solutions appeared that your logical mind hadn't considered? Week 4. Type-specific action. All types. Identify your primary psychological type based on Jung's framework. Focus on developing your inferior function through specific daily practices. Create a success strategy that aligns with your type rather than copying others. The transformation: what changes when you applied Jung's method? When you truly apply Jung's principles, success stops being something you chase and becomes something you embody. Here's what changes. Internal shifts. First, you develop what Jung called psychological sovereignty. You become the author of your own life rather than reacting to external expectations. Decisions become clearer because they're aligned with your authentic nature. Second, you access what Jung termed creative energy, the vitality that comes from living as your complete self rather than a fragment. Work stops feeling like drudgery and becomes self-expression. External results. Specific outcomes. People consistently report increased effectiveness with less effort. They make better decisions because they're accessing both conscious logic and unconscious wisdom. Relationships improve because they're no longer projecting their shadows onto others. Most importantly, success becomes sustainable. Instead of burning out from maintaining a false persona, they're energized by expressing their authentic selves. The ripple effect. Jung discovered that when one person individuates, becomes authentically themselves, it gives others permission to do the same. Your authentic success inspires rather than threatens others, creating positive cycles in all your relationships. The call to authentic living, building to an inspiring conclusion. Jung spent his life proving that the path to authentic success isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. But this requires courage. The courage to face your shadows, integrate your opposites, and trust your unique blueprint for success. Most people will continue chasing external markers of success while their authentic selves remain buried. They'll wonder why achievement feels hollow, why they're constantly anxious despite their accomplishments, why they feel like they're living someone else's life. But you now have Jung's roadmap to a different path, A path where success and authenticity aren't opposites, but partners. Where your work becomes an expression of your deepest self rather than a betrayal of it. The question isn't whether you're capable of this transformation. Jung proved that everyone is. The question is whether you're willing to begin the journey from who you think you should be to who you actually are. Your authentic success is waiting, not in some external achievement, but in the courage to become yourself. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung.